안녕하세요. Waiting for my speech to come on. Thank you to Vitalik and Ethereum, Sam and Clayton for their presentations prior to this. It's an honor to follow you guys. And they kind of helped set the stage for us to go deeper, right? We're about to discuss my favorite topic of Web3 games, also known as blockchain games. And Solana Games sits game data thinking and approach to this important sector. Hi, I am Johnny Lee, General Manager of Games at Solana. Thank you for joining us today in Seoul, South Korea. Very excited to be here and talk about what Solana is today and why it is the most performant blockchain and why it is the most performant blockchain for games and highlight the many tools available for game developers. Solana was built by engineers behind cell phone networks and is the only blockchain built for mass adoption. It's designed for high performance use cases like games, payments, social networks, and much more. It's open, interoperable, and decentralized with no central authority. It's user-owned and governed with a system of user incentives, unlike today's centralized systems like banks, social networks. There are no single points of failure or walled gardens. Solana, with its proof of history innovation, launched its network in February 2020 and has been in live open beta since. After launch, something really special happened. Responding to the scalability, energy efficiency, transaction speed, and low cost of Solana, developers started to build. DeFi products and dApps were built, and communities grew. A year later, we can see how the ecosystem blossomed beyond DeFi and into NFTs, payments, social, and now Web3 games. The network also adapted to increased traffic and increasingly complex transactions. We've shipped, there have been 10 major upgrades to the Solana network since we launched. I joined Solana Foundation to lead the games team almost a year ago. I've worked in the games and entertainment industry for the significant majority of my 20-plus year career. I've been a founder in both entertainment and in games, and I also lived in Seoul and Shanghai, leading games businesses for the past 9 years, resulting in a long track record of working closely with producers and developers to ship the best content. So I know very well that Korea and Asia equals innovation in games, from adoption of mobile as a games platform, creation of free-to-play, and even big innovations to core gameplay in AAA PC console games like PUBG, and now Web3 games. There's still a lot of misconceptions as to what the role of the blockchain is, what metrics to compare, and why performance matters in the lens of player experience in Web3 games. Blockchains are by definition games backend, and experienced game devs know the wrong backend can crush your game at launch. If you are, in particular, building an online multiplayer game or a game with real social features that scale, it is critical for the player experience to build on the most performant blockchain. So how should a game developer lead the product tech decision of picking the right blockchain for the studio's game? This decision hasn't been easy so far. Different approaches, too many of the same metrics, and different protocols. By working with game devs across many ecosystems, platforms, and geographies, we believe the two key metrics to track that affect Web3 games player experience directly are verified on-chain transactions per second and full finality time. It has become common in Web3 for L1 and L2s to market TPSs with simple transactions in controlled environments. Solana even has one, stated here at 65K TPS, a very common benchmark stated by many L1 and L2 blockchains. You see it almost everywhere. Apparently, almost all blockchains can hit 65 to 100K in this controlled setup. But this provides almost no insight for game developers who know their game's infrastructure will need to scale fast, become more complex, stay cheap, and have a low carbon footprint. Verified on-chain TPS is pretty straightforward. If it is in a sandbox, it's not live, it's cherry-picked data with simple transactions, it is not verified on-chain transactions per second. Solana's verified on-chain TPS ranges from 3 to 4K in a fully live environment and has increased with demand to 8K recently. To be clear, these are non-voting transactions for multiple product types like DeFi, NFTs, payments, and games. The transactions from the average daily volume behind this is around 40 million transactions per day on Solana, which is more than all of our peers combined, all verified on-chain. Solana's verified on-chain TPS of 3 to 4K is 50x to 100x faster than the next fastest solution, which caps out at around 80 TPS. 80 verified on-chain TPS. One example of the importance of verified on-chain TPS for player experience is, for example, in a single Web3 PvP game session, there can be 5 to 10 on-chain transactions, including the matchmaking, consideration, results, update of player profiles, exchange of awards, and possibly more like game logic on-chain. Verified on-chain TPS is critical to player experience. The other critical metric that we mentioned, full finality time, is critical for player experience in Web3 games is full finality time, defined as a Web3 transaction completing when the player actually receives full ownership to do whatever she pleases with the Web3 product, including true price discovery by taking her Web3 product to a third-party marketplace and selling it if they want. Here as well, it has become common in Web3 for L1 and L2s to market single elements of full finality time, such as just highlighting confirmation times, or block times. Solana even has it, stated here as 1 to 2 second confirmation time, a very common benchmark stated by L1 and L2 blockchains. Again, not too much insight for game developers, so let's go a little deeper. There are several elements of full finality time on L1 proof-of-stake blockchains, including how fast the RPC nodes can send transactions to the block time, confirmation confidence, and RPC communication back to the application. L2s and subnets obviously have several additional steps to complete and have forks and rework risk. I can't imagine what a block rework would be like for the player experience. Solana's leader schedule makes it easy for transactions to be sent to the next block, and core innovations make large forks and reworks extremely unlikely. These, combined with sub-1 second times of 400 to 700 milliseconds, drive the average full finality time in Solana to about 3.4 seconds. Examples of full finality time being critical to player experience is in Web3 UGC games, as the ability to create with full finality truly powers NFTs building on top of unique NFT structures, and essentially creators building on top of creators. Verified on-chain TPS and full finality time are correlated directly to player experience. The Solana Games team also identified that performance marketing at scale had not entered Web3 games, largely due to the fact that no Web3 game has achieved that level of scale yet. But knowing the quality and the size of developers building games on Solana today, we recognize the need for a scalable performance marketing solution for Web3 games on Solana. Paid marketing support by the blockchain is one way to help and one way to address this problem, but that is not scalable. And it seems to have become, again, common in Web3 games for blockchains to do paid marketing support, but Solana is different here as well. Solana Games does not do paid marketing support. We think it is dangerous to play favorites on a public blockchain, and in the majority of cases, paid marketing support to studios and titles they have vested commercial interests in, not exactly an even playing field. So instead, we tapped our games network and spoke to key players in mobile and PC console performance marketing to receive their input and integrate Solana and on-chain data analytics to formulate a Web3 CPI and LTV with a full understanding these formulas behind these common Web2 game metrics will change for Web3 games. And that it is also entirely possible that there will be brand new metrics we have yet to discover and calculate. We are working closely with Gamesite on this. Gamesite is the performance marketing platform for PC console games with top partner clients in AAA games. And they are conducting tests with 5 Solana Games right now. This will result in a scalable performance marketing solution for Solana game devs. From there, we further realized there are additional areas of need for Solana game devs in Web3. Marketing and distribution, as we discussed, is just one. Games backend and on-chain tools are 2 more. And this led us to the formation of the Solana Games Kit. We have been working on this since last year, and here to speak with you more about that Solana Games Kit is Matt Sorg, our head of partner engineering.
My name is Matt Sorg, head of partner engineering here at Solana Foundation. Appreciate everybody coming in. I know I'm just outside. I always have a great time in my office in Korea. I work for Riot Games, into both League of Legends World Championships here. I still remember the Samsung White team in 2014 that was so dominant when they rolled out Singed in Game 3, so Looper could have Singed as his champion skin. I just thought that was amazing. It's still one of my favorite memories in esports. And today we're thrilled with the amount of great developers here in Korea. And I'll actually be moving to Korea for the foreseeable future to establish an office and accelerate the ecosystem. I'm actually already settling in. I got a haircut the other day. I really like it, actually. The barbers here are pretty high, living up to it. So Johnny talked a lot about verifiable differentiation of Solana's performance. I started blockchain games marketplace in 2017 on Ethereum. So I know firsthand how much on-chain performance can impact the business and how to develop. There are more pieces to blockchain game success, and Solana ecosystem really shines in that as well. So I'm going to give a little case study here. Some people have this conception that Solana is hard to build on, and that finding most developers is hard. However, on Solana, a lot of that stuff is like for DeFi degens and protocol developers. I'll explain a bit. So on Ethereum, smart contracts are largely independent of each other, and games have to deploy most of the smart contract code they want to use themselves. Okay, yeah. So that's just not the case in Solana. Developers can use existing code already on Solana to deploy their apps. It was basically just a Web2 API. Even for deep gaming integrations, there's no need to hire Rust developers. I understand this might require a little bit of an explanation, so I'll give it like this. Many of you probably have heard of Seven. It's a fitness app that's popular around the world. What you may not know is Seven minted their NFTs, their tokens, using the Metaplex API. On top of their tokens, they integrated with an on-chain exchange called Orca. Seven implemented it directly into their app through the Orca SDK. All of this was on Solana, which did not require any Rust code. The main thing they had to do was just produce a good player experience. Because the Solana integration was easy, they had more time to put thoughtful game elements in their one of the most popular Web3 applications. They have millions of users. As John indicated earlier, only Solana's differentiated check performance could handle Seven's scale, without millions of users. Seven's players were only paying a small amount of fees to the network in the low thousands of dollars. On other networks, this would have been in the hundreds of thousands. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of transactions per day. The less currency the network takes, the more available for players to continue to use delightfully in their game. Put another way, Seven was able to get worldwide monetization and enhance the player experience through Web3 in an even easier way than if they would have done a traditional way through Web2. And this is just one example. There's a whole ecosystem of tools that great game builders can utilize. Free on it. So we're going to introduce the Solana Games Kit. Obviously, there's many aspects to Web3 game development. We're just going to roughly put them into 3 buckets today. The Solana ecosystem tools. This is helping devs build and integrate on the blockchain itself. Then you have the games backend. Connect to game engines and scale these integrations to create best player experience possible. And you have marketing and distribution. Johnny mentioned it. We've identified marketing in Web3 games as an unsolved problem. How do we solve these unit economics? So the Solana ecosystem tools. Here's a small subset of their engaging tools on Solana today. These aren't all produced by Solana Foundation. These are just existing tools in the ecosystem, and there's, as Johnny showed in the first slide, there's thousands of them. But I'll go over a few today. It usually starts with the Solana programming library. This is secure on-chain code with a variety of plugins from tokens to governance. On Ethereum in the EVM world, making it an NFT typically involves audits or expensive tools, not on Solana. Metaplex provides all the on-chain code. It provides off-chain API to do everything from mint NFTs and tokens to making white-labeled marketplaces and initial sales. Composability. So all of these tools, they build on top of Metaplex, and there's a whole host of them. So I'm going to repeat this a lot. You can just integrate all of them into your game through APIs. No Rust code needed. Just insert your configuration into the API, send it to the chain. And I'm going to run through a bit of examples. So realms. Basically DAO tooling. And for a game maker, you can think of this as your community tools for clans, guilds, raids, asset management and voting. An example I want to highlight is a game called Neofares. They're facilitating a create-to-own entertainment project, actually called projects. Users create location and characters through their web app, and this is automatically minted on-chain through Metaplex, grants membership and voting power to the project's DAO, and under the hood, the project's DAO is configured via Solana Program Library governance plugins to allow the Neofares NFTs to vote on the DAO proposals, the voting criteria, thresholds, etc. They're calculated into dynamically sized based on the NFTs minted. There's no off-priority fixed number of these, and this is a number of votes for the NFT collection per collection each time a user creates a new NFT, the size grows, and the voting threshold does. All transparent, all on-chain. Players are now able to interact with this data and functionality in such creative ways. Yes. So peer-to-peer protocol, friendly wagering, Laddercaster, they've gamified programs like breeding, and their entire game is on-chain. And you can actually utilize some of those game elements yourself. Cardinal. NFT staking, lending, renting, proof of participation, they're kind of the creme de la creme of just like on-chain awesome things to do. Raindrops is a extension to Metaplex, and it's very focused on games. Have a highly structured representations of things like avatars, items, and item slots. Great. This functionality is on top of Realms. You can do community events, Discord tournaments, or Discord channels and tournaments, all with secure access. As a game dev, you can mix and match some of these tools, and then a whole host of them. These aren't a limit. Solana is very flexible. So you can add your own custom code on top that interacts with each of these components. The player experiences that are coming out of these are incredible. You can get them for way cheaper than if you had to build them all yourself. It's just on-chain deployments. To me, this is actually one of the main reasons to build a Web3 strategy. It's not just the monetization of Web3. It's actually how easily you can create a robust ecosystem around your game from already available tools. Let's go back to Metaplex for a second. Last week, they released what they're calling Bubblegum. This is actually my first major collaboration with Metaplex. Games have much different requirements than a lot of the 10K, PFP, profile picture mints like Bored Apes. So we set out to make NFT creation inexpensive enough to support mass adoption of games. This new standard reduces the cost of minting NFTs from a little under $1 to $40 a day today, so you're talking Very, very cheap. This is not an announcement of an announcement. You can actually just go to bubblegumentities.com right now and try it yourself. There's still a little bit of work to do to get production grade for your games, but yeah, it's ready to start developing them today. Okay, so minting NFTs and getting a lot of great player experience on chain is getting easier and easier. But there's more components than that to put on top. So Solana has a robust ecosystem of marketplaces and tools that help players interact with your game. There's a whole host of options. That's one of the main things about Solana being an ecosystem and not just one single toolset. Each major marketplace, Fractal, Magic Eden, has their own wallet integration. And SDKs are available for all the major engines. And you can do your, if you go through the SDKs, you can do your custom integrations yourself. If you want a full middleware layer, you have Forte and Stardust have very compelling offerings for a lot of games. For liquidity, the overlap of game developers and people who like gamifying their finances is pretty high. But that doesn't mean developers want to build everything. So we have, I already mentioned Orca, Radium's, Serum, Mango markets. These are on-chain exchanges available for you to use in your game. It should also be noted that Solana is connected to fiat on-ramps and off-ramps all over the world. You can go direct integrations in wallets like MoonPay, RAM, Proximate, FTX, and many more tools for you to take your game and instantly have it all over the world. As I said in 7 earlier. So, games backend. Obviously, blockchain isn't the only part of the games backend. There are several managed offerings available to provide seamless integrations to your whole backend suite. So Beamable is actually the only Unity verified solution partner for laptops. So that's traditional game development or not. We're delighted that they're building a self-serve Solana SDK for easy integration with blockchain to the rest of your live ops stack. Maybe you want to give a server a ranked queue, some gated access by an NFT. You can do that all through Beamable. Product offers a platform for the solutions engineers and AAA experience to build your backend. The portfolio game includes some of the most performant games in the industry. Both are onboarding games with Solana as their backend, in addition to a whole suite of their existing live ops tools. Back to marketing and distribution that I mentioned earlier, we've identified performance marketing at scale, just hadn't been really solved in Web3 games yet. But our team has identified GameSite as one of the top growth engines for PC, console, and soon mobile games. Performance marketing in closed platforms like console is really hard. We're thrilled that they're taking this expertise to Solana and blockchain. They get a better sense of what user coming in from various sources, a much better prediction of what their lifetime value is, even in this new world where trading volume is what matters and not just a bunch of initial purchases. It's fundamentally different, and we're really excited GameSet is leading the charge. But that's not all. There's many other people who have identified Solana as such a growing ecosystem that there's tons of upstarts like DataWisp and many more, and open source tooling like Dune and other ecosystems that you can do your own queries. On the marketing side, we've identified Omelet. That's one of the top mobile gaming streaming platforms. With one of the largest communities in mobile, with 8 million MAU that are currently watching, and Omelet is currently building an SDK for Solana. We've seen other success stories. So EV.io, they did a tournament collaboration with Fractal, the marketplace I mentioned earlier, and they got 250,000 views in a single session on Twitch. So we're starting to see this adoption. Traditional measures of lifetime value and understanding a new player can change drastically in the Web3 world, and now we're getting the visibility to on-chain data and how to utilize it. In June, Anatoly, one of the co-founders of Solana, announced the Solana mobile stack. It's not just a phone, it's a suite of open source tools that are free to use. The intent is to bring blockchain to mass adoption with secure consumer protections and enhance the player experience. I don't need to put up numbers here. Everybody here knows that the mobile gaming market specifically is really huge. So let's dive in. The seed vault, We saw last week the SOWAT leaked seed phrases for Solana and Ethereum wallets. This resulted in some Solana wallets, and to a lesser extent some of the Ethereum wallets, to be drained. Neither protocol could really affect anything because the transactions were correctly signed. This is exactly the rationale behind the SMS stack. The seed vault stores key phrases and does the signing. Application uses the mobile wallet adapter to request specific signatures only, but the important aspect here is that applications never have access to the keys themselves. The keys are stored in an isolated, secure element, separated at the hardware level. So apps, wallets, quite literally can't even see the keys, let alone leak them. This is a more secure than even desktop PCs today. While a huge step in consumer protection, it also enhances the player experience. So today, each game has to choose between either making their own game wallet or calling an external wallet. If a game creates their own wallet, there's security issues, but also player experience consideration because that wallet isn't connected to other apps. Players can't take their assets from one game to another. This isn't just about interoperability with game items, it's about tokens and currencies that are now fragmented, which hurts monetization. The other option is a game opts to connect to an existing external wallet. This means that a game has to have a new player install a new app entirely, or redirect back to your game. And obviously this is not the greatest user experience. With the Solana mobile stack, every app has access to the same keys through that wallet adapter, and it's secure, and players can enjoy their assets across apps. Johnny and I have a long career in games production, and this has been a joy to foster this ecosystem. Our games native approach in Solana Games is ready for the amazing player experiences and scale that your amazing games can bring. Together, we can change blockchain and bring it to mass adoption.
Thanks, Matt. In quick summary, we love working with game developers. We've done it for a long time. Our approach on the Solana Games team is a built-together approach. I'll highlight again go a little back, the Metaplex bubblegum solution. I think across the industry, but definitely on Solana, minting an NFT was 50 cents to $1.25 that you saw on the slide. Doing that at scale for creator-driven economies or Web3 games with new core gameplay loops would be very cost restrictive. We were able to, working with Solana core engineering, bring that down for 100 million NFTs at 50 SOL. I will do the math for that. That brings us back to essentially aligning with our transaction fees, which is 0.4 zeros and 2, right?
Lots of zeros.
Yeah, lots of zeros. There are many live games on Solana today, and we are excited for the slate of games set to launch in the rest of 2022 and next year. We hope to build together with the game industry's top game devs to establish Web3 games as the preeminent business model, and even create new core gameplay powered by Solana. You can access this Solana Games kit here through this QR code, and thank you for your time.